Welcome, everyone, to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking one of the absolutely most beautifully written, profoundly insightful books of the 20th century, Wind, Sand, and Stars. Now, when you hear the name Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, your mind probably jumps straight to The Little Prince, right? And rightfully so. But before he wrote that beloved classic, Saint-Exupéry was actually a pioneering mail pilot back in the incredibly dangerous early days of aviation. We're talking about a guy who flew these fragile, open-cockpit planes across the vast Sahara, over the towering Andes, and across the Atlantic, often in conditions that literally claimed the lives of his fellow pilots all the time. This wasn't just a day job. It was a constant, daily brush with mortality. But as we're going to see today, the book drawn from these harrowing experiences isn't just some action-packed adventure story. It is a deeply profound philosophical look into the human spirit.
Think about this for a second. What do we discover about ourselves when everything is stripped away? When the noise, the routines, the comfortable little safety nets of our daily lives just vanish? That's the core premise we're exploring today. It's this fascinating paradox. Sometimes it takes the most extreme, life-or-death experiences out on the absolute edge of the world to reveal the most profound and urgent truths about our very ordinary, everyday lives back home. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The Crucible. The Crash. Picture this. It's 1939. Saint-Exupéry and his navigator, Prevost, are flying over the Libyan desert. Suddenly, something goes terribly, terribly wrong, and they crash. The plane is completely destroyed, but miraculously, they survive the impact. But the situation they wake up to is immediately, terrifyingly dire. They are stranded in the middle of a sprawling, unforgiving wasteland. And guys, this wasn't a Hollywood movie where a rescue helicopter swoops in at the nick of time. It was a slow, agonizing descent. Day 1. They realize they have absolutely no water, literally nothing. Day 2, they make the desperate choice to start walking under a brutal, relentless desert sun, their bodies just rapidly dehydrating. Day 3, the sheer physical toll pushes them straight into delirium. They start hallucinating. By this point, the physical decline is so severe that the absolute certainty of their impending death without rescue becomes this undeniable heavy reality. Every single step is agonizing. Every breath is like inhaling dry fire. Moving on to Section 2, the void. Stripping away the unnecessary. As that absolute physical exhaustion sets in, the frantic, loud panic of survival actually begins to fade into a strange, haunting silence. The pure void of the desert surrounds them. I really want you to just imagine the sheer quiet of a landscape with no life, no wind, no machinery. The constant buzzing noise of ordinary life has suddenly completely stopped. And in that terrifying stillness, Saint-Exupéry undergoes a profound transition. The struggle shifts from a desperate fight for physical survival to an inward existential realization. The unnecessary things are just stripped away, and his vision becomes incredibly, almost painfully clear. It is only when we have lost something that we truly understand its worth. It sounds simple, right? Almost like a proverb. But in the context of dying of thirst in the Sahara, it carries an immense, crushing weight. The true climax of his story isn't the physical rescue itself. Spoiler alert, they do eventually get found by a Bedouin on a camel. But the actual climax is this profound, earth-shattering realization of what actually matters when everything else is gone. You know, part of what allowed him to reach this incredible clarity was his unique relationship with solitude. Saint-Exupéry was used to being alone. He spent long, silent hours in the cockpit navigating by the stars. But psychological research actually distinguishes between imposed isolation, which is terrifying and psychologically damaging, and chosen, sustained solitude. Chosen solitude actually fosters an incredible depth of self-knowledge. It increases our creativity, it deepens our self-understanding, and surprisingly, it gives us the capacity to be genuinely present with other people. It's a quality of deep, uninterrupted reflection that our constantly busy, notification-driven social lives today rarely ever permit. And this brilliantly illustrates Section 3, the framework, the psychology of awakening. So researchers Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun coined a term that reads exactly like a description of Saint-Exupéry's journey. It's called post-traumatic growth. The crucial takeaway here is that the devastating crash in the Libyan desert didn't break him. Actually, it clarified him. The immense suffering he endured didn't destroy his spirit. Rather, it acted as a focusing lens. Suddenly, all the things that were previously totally invisible to him in his busy life became visibly, undeniably visible. He emerged from the desert with a wisdom and a sense of purpose he just didn't have before that plane went down. Similarly, Irvin Yalom, who is a founder of existential psychotherapy, describes what he calls an existential awakening. We all walk around with these ordinary assumptions that insulate us from the harsh realities of life, right? The assumption that we have endless time, that our daily routines really matter, that we are fundamentally safe. But when those assumptions are violently stripped away by things like a terminal illness, a sudden profound loss, or, a plane crash in the Sahara, we experience a massive shift in priorities. Suddenly, the trivial things are obviously trivial, and the essential things become urgently, desperately essential.
Section 4. The Epiphany, the Invisible Essential.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast it shows. When Saint-Exupéry was lying out there in the sand, stripped of water and hope, just staring into the ultimate void, he didn't focus on the majestic stars above him. He wasn't even obsessing over survival anymore. He focused on the faces of his friends. He felt the heavy, undeniable weight of human connection. He realized that the people he had been way too busy to notice were the absolute only things that actually mattered in the whole world. Usually, we navigate our busy lives by viewing people by convenience. We see the barista, the colleague, the driver purely by their function or utility. But out in the desert, he discovered genuine encounter, the ability to see someone not just as a background character in your own life, but as the protagonist of theirs, to truly see their mysterious, irreducible humanness. Throughout the book, he describes meeting a Moorish chieftain, a Spanish peasant, a French colleague, and in every single one of them, regardless of their social status or their usefulness to him, he finds something utterly irreplaceable. Psychologists confirm this today, by the way. The experience of being truly seen by another person, having someone take genuine, authentic curiosity in your inner life rather than just your utility, is literally one of the most powerful determinants of psychological well-being. It is what we all crave at a fundamental level. And it leads him to this beautiful, profound realization. We are all passengers on the same earth. When you read this, you can immediately hear the echoes of his later masterpiece, The Little Prince, and its famous line from the fox. What is essential is invisible to the eye. The desert stripped away the visible world, the cities, the jobs, the social status, the whole shebang, and left him with only the invisible connections that bind us together as fellow passengers. Section 5. The Return. Returning to ordinary life.
So the crucial point is, Wind, Sand, and Stars isn't just a book meant to be left in the sand. It challenges us to carry that hard-won, life-or-death clarity straight into our ordinary lives. Let's do a quick mental exercise together. I want you to remember a time in your own life when circumstances forced you to slow down completely. Maybe it was a severe illness, a period of grief, or just a major life disruption that entirely removed all your usual busyness. What did you notice in that sudden, enforced stillness? When the noise stopped, whose faces did you see? Who did you actually want to reach out to? And moving forward, how can we actively seek out that genuine connection rather than just settling for the people who happen to be physically closest to us out of mere convenience?
I really want to challenge you to examine your own habits here. Ask yourself, what practices help you maintain that genuine perspective on the people in your life? Conversely, what is it about our modern, frantic lives that so reliably causes us to lose it? Why do proximity and convenience substitute so easily for real, genuine human connection? Just imagine for a second how your daily interactions, at the grocery store, in the office, at the dinner table, would change if you actively viewed everyone you met as a fellow passenger navigating this earth. Saint-Exupéry lived the questions underneath this book, and by doing so, he offers us an incredible gift. He gives us the permission to ask these questions of ourselves right now. Why do we wait for the desert to show us what matters? Why do we require catastrophe, illness, or impending loss just to feel genuine gratitude for the people around us? We don't have to wait for the plane to crash. We can choose to truly see the people in our lives today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking the big questions, and I'll see you next time.